In this video, I'm going to go through a cleanup approach to the phone numbers up here that are displayed really as formulas, where the formula has three separate lines, and this contact info field was something we created in a separate video. I'm going to go ahead and go into Setup, click on the gear tool and then into Setup, and if I'm going to be making edits on this, it's a contact record. I can tell that because of the tab that's highlighted. I can tell that because of the label. I'm going to go into the Object Manager. I'm going to scroll down to the Contact Object. And the field, if you look at the label, it's the Contact Info field. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the Fields and Relationships, find the Contact Info field. And the problem that we're dealing with is it's taking a phone number, which it knows how to format a phone number, but we're really creating a text string. The output of this formula is text. So it's trying to figure out how to format that, but it can't figure out because it just treats everything like it's a regular string of characters. So the trick that I'm going to show you is that most people who've been doing Salesforce development or consulting in any way probably have a notepad full of formulas that they can use quickly and easily, save themselves the time. Maybe they found them online and they just capture them and reuse them. So this is a formula that deals with 10 and 11 digit phone numbers, so leading ones and phone numbers that are 10 digits. So I'm going to show you the use of this and the limitations of it. So I'm going to copy this, and you'll notice that the mobile number, when we look at it, is coming up kind of funny because it doesn't have any punctuation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go in here and say, let's create a little bit of space here. Let's isolate mobile. That's just for me visually to make sure that I don't mess anything up. One thing I did want to point out, and I should have done this before I went through that. Whenever you're changing something, my best advice is go ahead and copy whatever's working and then go in and save it. So I'm just going to call this the original phone info or something like that, whatever you're going to remember. And then what I'm going to do is copy this, and this is what I'm going to insert. So as I was doing before, I'll go ahead and start over again. I'm going to isolate mobile, and really right here it's saying there's the label for the mobile, and then it's kind of gluing that, as I say, to the mobile phone field, and then they're gluing that to a line break. So what I'm going to do is really focus on this is the mobile number right here. This part is the mobile number. So what I'm going to do is just below that, I'm going to paste the entirety of that code. And what you'll notice is right now what's being focused on is the account's phone number. I'm just going to replace this everywhere that I see account phone. So for me, obviously I could do a complete replace, and that's probably the safest way to do this, but right now I'm just going to go ahead and overwrite these things everywhere that I see account phone. Shouldn't take too long. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and check the syntax. It doesn't like the fact that I left mobile phone in there without any ampersands, and I don't even really need it. I just wanted to leave the original text that was in there so I'd know what to paste in. So now we should be able to check this. Looks good. I'm going to go ahead and save it. We go back here, and this mobile phone now, because it's a 10-digit phone number, should be formatted correctly. I'll just click Edit or Refresh, and when I click Save, you'll see that it updates up here. So even though the number itself does not have punctuation, Salesforce knows how to format a phone number without punctuation in a phone number field, but the text formula doesn't know how to format, so we have to teach it how to do that. The other thing that can happen is if you have a 1 in front of this, if it's a leading 1, so you add an extra digit in here, it knows how to deal with that. Now what it's going to do is just strip out that 1. So you need to know how your formula actually works, and if you're in a country where the number starts with something other than a 1, then you might need to deal with that, but at least in the US, that leading 1 gets ignored in a phone number field. And that gives me this information here. Now the assistant information, we can do the same thing. You might want to take your org, if you've been keeping up, and try to edit the assistant phone number. But I'm going to go in and say we need to do the same thing with the regular phone number, because if this phone number were to lose its formatting or be brought in without any formatting, So there's our 10-digit number. Once it's gone, now we're seeing a problem with this number. So I'm going to go in here and do the same exact thing with phone. I'll click edit. I'm actually just going to copy this. So this whole thing right here, I'm going to copy it. Now remember, I have the original formula saved in my notepad, or it's not saved, but it's in there right now. So what I'm going to do is say, I want to isolate the actual field that I'm trying to replace. I'm going to paste all this in, and basically anywhere that there is mobile phone, I need to place phone in there. So again, you can do a quick replace all. I'm going to do just a quick run through here. Probably a little more dangerous than having the computer do it for me, but for the purpose of this video, I'll show you it's not that hard to do. I'm going to check my syntax. I did remember to remove the old label of phone. And let's go ahead and click save. Come back in here. So the phone number's messed up. We'll hit refresh. And now the phone number's fixed. One of the things I will show you is this is just a simple formula that I could reuse. But you'll notice, and if you look at the formula, you'll notice that there are basically two conditions. If the phone number is 10 digits in length, or if the phone number is 11 digits in length. So let's take a look at what happens. What if I were to put in a phone number that is not 10 digits in length? So let's say that I put in something here, and I put a space there, and I put a space there. Now that is technically 12 characters long, and when I click save, it's doing nothing. You might say, why doesn't it just show me the regular phone number with the spaces in it? Well, if you look at this formula, when I edit this, I'll just walk you through what it's saying. It's saying if the phone number is not blank and the length is exactly 10, then fill it in this way. If the phone number is not blank and the length is exactly 11, then fill it in this way. One of the things that I would say is you might change this and say if the phone number is exactly 10, and in here you might say if it's greater than 10 and the first letter is a 1, then just remove the 1. So this formula is not perfect. It's just a way to show you that if you're entering your numbers without any punctuation, you can get them to show up with punctuation. My recommendation is go ahead and try this formula with your assistant phone number and see if you can clean this up so that it works properly. We can go through some other formula examples that are much more capable of handling varieties in the phone number values, so that if we were to go in here and do something like we did here, it would actually be able to figure that out and strip out all the spaces and recognize that this is still a 10-digit phone number because the spaces don't really count. So just be aware, that's why consultants can be really helpful. Obviously, I've been in this platform for thousands of hours, and I've seen the different things that can happen when you don't know what you're doing. But for just a basic edit, that formula will work great, and we'll go ahead and put that formula link into the description of the video so that you can use it yourself, and we can put an improved version of that as well.